Good evening and welcome to the annual meeting for Tourism St. Catharines, the annual meeting for the St. Catharines Municipal Development Corporation, and the council meeting for December 8th, 2025. Please rise for the playing of the national anthem and a moment of reflection.
Oh, Canada.
I will look to Councillor Williamson to read the land acknowledgement.
Land on which council is a traditional territory, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabeg, Adirondack, and the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nations peoples, many of whom continue to live and work here today. This territory is covered by the Upper Canada Treaties and is within the land protected by the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. Today, this gathering place is home to many Indigenous peoples, made up of First Nation, Inuit, and Métis. The Dish with One Spoon Wampum agreements remind us of our responsibility to ensure the Dish, the territories on which we live and work, is never emptied, and that we take care of the land and its inhabitants in a way that ensures its future sustainability.
Thank you. I will call the meeting to order. The annual meeting for City Council as the member for Tourism St. Catharines is called to order. The Deputy Clerk has advised there are no amendments to the agenda. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Dodge, Councillor Phillips. All in favor? Carried. Can I have a motion, adoption of the minutes? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the previous annual meeting? Councillor Lindell, Councillor Dodge. All in favor? And that is carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? No? Okay. So we will go on to annual resolutions. Oh, I don't have a chair's report. No chair's report. Annual resolutions, 6.1, appointment of the auditor. Can I have a councillor to move the motion to appoint the auditor? Councillor Harris, seconder, Councillor Mako. Do I have to read the motion? Okay, good. I'm not going to read it. All in favor? Carried. 6.2, audited financial statements. The auditor, Paul Siapana of KPMG, is available electronically should there be any questions from council. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Lindell, Councillor Mako. Are there any questions? All in favor? Carried. Huh? Oh, sorry. Do we have to go back? Okay, good. We'll move to discussion items. The first, 7.1, appointment of Tyler Potts to the Board of Directors. Can I have a councillor move the motion to appoint Tyler Potts to the Board of Directors? Councillor Phillips and Mayor Cisco. Any questions? I'll look to the clerk to call a recorded vote. Oh, I apologize, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. I just wanted to know, my only question is really what mark Mr. Potts got in grade 9 academic science.
Excellent question.
Was it academic? Oh, yeah, it would be academic, not university at that point. 91?
So I went back and I took a look. It was an 89. Thank you.
Thank you for the clarification. Shame on you, Tyler. Shame on you. Look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge. Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Why is the mayor such a jerk?
And Chair McPherson.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Oh, that was fun. Moving on to item 7.2, amendments to the sole member declaration. Can I get a mover and a seconder? Mayor Cisco, Councillor Stevens. Questions? No? Excellent. Look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
And Chair McPherson.
Yes.
And that's carried.
7.3, Tourism St. Catharines 2026 Budget and Business Plan. Can I say something before we go in? Okay. So just before we get into that, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening and for your continued partnership. This past year has reaffirmed that St. Catharines is at its strongest when we work together. Collaboration isn't something we value. It has truly become our defining advantage. As Niagara's most diverse urban center, we're leading the way in connecting our cultural, culinary, sport, and downtown experiences to support not only our city, but the entire region. And with that, I will pass it over to Brian York, Tourism St. Catharines General Manager, to walk us through tonight's AGM agenda.
Thank you, Chair. You'll note that we have a pretty comprehensive business case in front of you this evening. There's a lot of pages and a lot of effort has gone into it. However, in the effort of time, I'd just like to say we work really closely with our local operators, our BIAs, regional partners. The town of Lincoln is mentioned as a very strategic partner in this endeavor. And together we're building a stronger, more resilient, and more compelling tourism story for visitors and residents alike. Your agenda package includes that comprehensive business plan for 26. Karen and I are here for questions. But with that foundation, I'll hand it over to Karen, our Chief Marketing Officer, to walk us through the budget itself. Karen?
Thank you, Brian. As you can see in front of you, here is the expenses we've outlined for the 2026 fiscal year. We've got the Joint Destination Marketing Organization, and just to note, this is a maximum at this point of up to $250,000, conditional on the equal contribution from the town of Lincoln. The Destination Marketing and Product Development line is at $160,000. Travel, Trade, and Sector Advancement is at $50,000. The Amateur Youth Sport Tourism Grant remains at $10,000. Tourism St. Catharines Industry Engagement at $5,000. Administrative costs come in at $25,000. And the Tourism Sector Advancement Support is at $150,000. Council agreed to fund $50,000 from the City Reserve for 2025, 26, and 27. And the Tourism St. Catharines Board is putting in an additional $50,000, taking the program from $100,000 in 2025 to $150,000 in 2026. I can't get this to move. There we go. Here's just an idea of some of the programs that we funded this year. The Some Kinda Festival, the St. Catharines Farmers Market, the St. Catharines Touch Football Association, Cicada Music and Arts Festival, the Foster Festival, Poor Choices, Niagara Artist Center, and the First Ontario Performing Arts Center. We were oversubscribed in 2025 with lots of engagement for the pilot year. We know that there'll be equally as much interest in it this year. We've pointed people towards this program, which is why we've invested another $50,000 in the program. Any questions? Does anybody have any questions about the budget?
Yeah, I'm still learning about Tourism St. Catharines. Could you explain the criteria for the matched funding program? Like, how did these particular program recipients get decided?
Eligibility, they're open to all St. Catharines-based tourism stakeholders who contribute to the visitor economy and can demonstrate how their project supports tourism growth and destination appeal. So there's 3 focus areas: marketing, which includes campaigns and promotions; investment attraction, which is events, media FAMs, or media hosting; and then product development, for example, cultural experiences, culinary experiences, wine touring, things like that.
Okay. And were there a number that applied that were not successful?
Everybody who applied this year was successful. They didn't get the maximum that they had asked for because it was oversubscribed, but we didn't turn anyone away this year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Stevens?
Thank you to the chair. Just to go along with what Councillor Mako said, the First Ontario Performance Art Centre, their money, is this stuff for specific things? Because we already fund them, and I didn't think that we're allowed to fund more than one group with multiple things from the city. So how do they get money from this as well as from another thing? Clarification on that, please.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair to the councillor. The funding received for Tourism St. Catharines, Inc. is derived from visitor accommodation spending. So it's not off levy. So it in essence, isn't a double dip on the budget. So we do accept applications from any organization within St. Catharines, including the PAC.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Brian, any other questions? No? Excellent. Anything?
Sorry, Chair, I just want to add, likely by February this year, we'll have a year in review finalized, February 2026, that will circulate certainly to our board and then to council as sole shareholder as well. So you get a comprehensive review of everything that we've been a part of throughout the year. We're bumping up against year end like everybody else. We've got Let It Glow on right now. So we want the final numbers to come in from that so we're more impactful and accurate when we're reporting what the year looked like. So you'll get a storyline on everything we've done throughout the year by February 2026.
Thank you, Brian. So we have a motion. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the motion? Councillor Phillips, Councillor Mako, and I look to the clerk to call the recorded vote.
Just doing that awkward moment while we wait for the system to enter voting mode. According to the chair, I should be singing right now. For the vote, Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Easy listening. Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And Chair McPherson.
Yes.
And that's carried.
There is no closed session. There's no motion rising from closed session. Number 10, confirmation of all acts. Correct? Okay. Can I have a councillor to move the motion? Councillor Lindell, and a seconder, Councillor Dodge. Any questions? No? Good. And I look to the deputy clerk to call the recorded vote.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Indeed.
And Chair McPherson.
100%.
And that is 100% carried.
Thank you. Thank you. Can I have a councillor move a motion to adjourn the meeting? Councillor Harris, seconder Mayor Cisco, that there being no further items of business, the meeting is adjourned. Show of hands. And now Mayor Cisco will take the chair back.
Councillor McPherson moved all my stuff. All right, call the meeting to order. This is the annual meeting for City Council as the shareholder for the St. Catharines Municipal Development Corporation. We're called to order, and the Deputy Clerk has advised there are no amendments to the agenda, so can I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor McPherson, Councillor Phillips, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. Be it resolved that the minutes of the annual meeting of February 10th, 2025 and the special shareholder meeting of September 22nd, 2025 be approved. Mover and a seconder. Councillor Stevens, Councillor Mako, all those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Are there any declarations of pecuniary interest? Seeing none, there is no chair's report, so we'll move on to the annual resolutions. Can I have a mover and a seconder to appoint the auditor? Councillor Lindell, Councillor Harris. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Item 6.2, the audited financial statements. The auditor, Paul Ciapana, KPMG, is available electronically should there be questions from council. Can I have a councillor to move and second the recommendation? Councillor Harris, Councillor Dodge. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Item 7.1, the appointment of directors. Can I have a mover and a seconder for the new directors motion? I'm going to say Councillor Miller. And I'm going to go Councillor Harris, just because I'm going with the directors. Are there any questions or comments about the appointment of Dale Copeland, Kelly Frechette, Thomas Richardson, and Mitchell Steinbergs? Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Chair. One question I think I had, one of the people are from out of town, and I know it's in the policy was that they can be from out of town to be on this corporation. However, I always feel, is there anybody that applied that was locally in town and was not accepted and someone from out of town?
There was
a camera thing or somewhere?
nobody with the applicable skill set that we were looking for.
Okay, I feel that it should always be a resident of the city for anything like this, as if they're.
And the effort was made. We went through several rounds, actually, of applications looking for people with specific skill sets. These were the applicants that came forward with appropriate skills.
All right, thank you very much. Yeah, thanks.
All right, seeing no other questions, I'll look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Mako. Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Item 7.2, the amendment to the sole shareholder declaration regarding board composition. Can I have a councillor move the motion to amend the sole shareholder declaration regarding board composition? Councillor McPherson, Councillor Mako. Any questions or comments? Seeing none, I'll look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Mako. Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
And moving on to 7.3, which is the 2026 budget and business plan. Before discussing the report, I'll call on Tim Herbert, the general manager, to present regarding the 2026 budget and business plan.
Evan, do you see the remote?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, City staff. I'm glad to be back again. As most of you know, my name is Tim Herbert, and I am the General Manager of the St. Catharines Municipal Development Corporation. These are the items that we will quickly go through this evening. So first of all, I think let's take a look at 2025. 2025 was a year of learning, listening, and adapting for myself, city staff, and quite frankly, the development community. I would like to thank everyone for their assistance, collaboration, and focus on increasing the number of attainable and affordable homes. We're on a path to exceed all of the commitments while staying well within budget. As of tomorrow, I will have been in my role for 1 year. With the support of staff, the MDC board, and council, we have worked to make 2025 a year of success. The joint venture at Academy Street is proceeding as expected and is on schedule. The sale of Gale and Ryerton is in due diligence with nothing of major concern coming forth at this point. The MDC has also purchased additional assets from the city. The focus is and always will be more homes. We've also modified the composition of the board to include a significant number of representatives of the public. I would like to thank them for stepping forward to assist the MDC in achieving its objectives. In 2026, the MDC will maintain its clear focus on the creation of new, attainable, and affordable housing. We will also complete a new 3-year strategic plan that will outline the benefits to the shareholder, including a policy on how and when the financial benefits will be transferred back to the shareholder. The budget highlights outline adherence to fiscal responsibility and growth through the practices employed and approved upon in 2025. None of us know what the future will bring. Build Canada Homes will change the development landscape, but the MDC needs to maintain its focus on the growth of housing solutions. '26 and 2027 will sound very, very similar in that the goal will not change, but the strategies, the negotiations, the partners will all need to adapt to a new market. The changes are coming fast. We need to move as quickly as we can, or we are simply not doing our jobs. That concludes my presentation, and I'm looking forward to your comments and questions and answering any questions on the budget itself.
All right, are there any questions or comments from council? All right, seeing none, thank you very much, Mr. Herbert, for your presentation. Can I have a councillor move the motion to approve the 2026 budget and business plan? Councillor Lindell, Councillor Stevens, and I will look to the clerk to call the roll. You're good.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right, there is no closed session, there is no motion arising from closed session, so we get to confirmation of all acts. Can I have a counselor move the motion to confirm the acts of the MDC? Counselor Stevens, Counselor Dodge. Any questions? All right, looking to the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Stevens.
Yes.
Counselor Dodge.
Yes.
Counselor Harris. Counselor Lindell.
Yes.
Counselor Mako.
Yes.
Counselor McPherson.
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Counselor Phillips.
Yes.
Counselor Williamson.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Can I have a counselor move a motion to adjourn the meeting? Counselor Harris, Counselor Dodge, all those in favor, opposed, and we are done. At this time, council will now be in recess until 6 p.m. when we will begin the regular meeting. And I would like to welcome everybody back to the continuation of this evening's meeting. For those who weren't in attendance earlier, we did have the Tourism STC and the Municipal Development Corporation annual general meetings that were, they began at 5 p.m. So council actually started at 5 p.m. today, which is, you may notice things are a little bit disjointed, a little bit out of order. We won't be doing the national anthem or the moment of silence, as that has already been done. So we'll move right into the mayor's report. I want to thank everybody for tuning in for tonight's regular council meeting. This is the last one before Christmas. I do want to take a moment. We have a couple of condolences we want to extend this evening. I'll start with sadness, reporting that Dave Dittrick, the former St. Catharines employee at the Victoria Lawn Cemetery with over 30 years of service, passed away on November the 24th. On behalf of council and city staff, we offer our deepest sympathies to Dave's family, his colleagues, and his friends. We would also like to extend our condolences on the recent passing of retired Corporal Stuart Colt. Stuart was a proud veteran, a respected educator, and a beloved member of the St. Catharines community. His passion for music brought joy to many through his long-time involvement with the Lincoln Ambassadors and the Lincoln and Welland Foundation Band. We extend our heartfelt condolences to his family, friends, and all who had the privilege of knowing him. On to local events. In November, I had the chance to visit the workshop of the Friends of the Carousel, volunteers who keep our beloved carousel animals in pristine shape, to thank them for all of their hard work and dedication. The Friends of the Carousel are a dedicated group of volunteers who spend countless hours over the course of the off-season to repair, restore, and maintain the beautiful characters that we all enjoy at the iconic Lakeside Park Carousel. I want to thank the Friends for all of their efforts in keeping our carousel looking so beautiful. At the end of November, we hosted our last Town Hall STC of 2026, this time in the St. Andrews Ward. I want to thank Councillors Kushner and Harris for joining me, and thank you to the community for bringing their concerns and feedback to us. Stay tuned to our website and my social media to find out the dates for the upcoming Town Halls in 2026. In October, I had the opportunity to team up with the Niagara Ice Dogs to design a specialty jersey that paid homage to the 4 Junior A hockey franchises that preceded the Dogs here in St. Catharines. After the game, the jerseys were put up for auction, and together we raised $10,200 for Community Crew. For those of you who don't know, Community Crew provides nutritious lunches to more than 1,500 students from 36 schools across the region. The funds raised through this initiative will help support a school in St. Catharines come off of their waiting list, and I want to thank Ice Dogs owner Darren Dobler for partnering with my SCORE Fund to make the donation and to make all of this possible. And I want to thank Ice Dogs fans for supporting the jersey auction. I want to give a big thank you to city staff and to CRCS. And I want to give a big thank you to city staff in CRCS and in economic development for hosting another successful launch for Let It Glow. There are many smiling faces of kids taking a ride on the carousel or taking pictures with Santa. For those of you who missed the launch event, don't worry, the beautiful light displays at Rennie Park will be on display through January 4th, 2026. Last week, I had the opportunity to drop in to visit Tony and the kids who are part of the Young and Gifted program, a nonprofit organization that serves as a crucial outlet for racialized youth, providing a platform for them to express themselves freely and without judgment. Through basketball, Tony is helping to break down barriers and develop a sense of belonging and self-worth for the youth that the program serves. In partnership with the Niagara River Lions, we were able to support the program by providing new basketballs so that the program can expand and reach more youth. Last week, I had the opportunity to visit the grade 2, 3, and 6 students at St. Anthony Catholic School to discuss local government and what the role of the mayor is. The kids had great questions, better than the high school students I used to teach. I do want to say thank you to Mrs. Kelly for setting the visit up. Good news for residents and businesses. The St. Paul Street West Bridge is back open a year ahead of schedule. The reopening of the St. Paul Street Bridge is a major step forward for the community and for the future of the GO Precinct and the GO Station project. This bridge is an important corridor that connects residents, supports local businesses, and strengthens the daily life of our city. And I want to thank everyone for their patience throughout the closure, especially the business owners in the area who have had to experience the brunt of the economic impact. With the bridge being restored and the GO Station development continuing, we're excited to keep moving forwards towards a more connected, accessible, and vibrant St. Catharines. And I do want to say thank you again to regional staff for getting this project completed in a year, and also to the folks at Rankin Construction who did the work to get the job done within the year. Last week, I attended the Downtown Association's annual general meeting to bring greetings on behalf of the city. I was there with our rep on the board, Councillor McPherson, as well as Councillor Ratzlaff, the other downtown councillor. The big issue that seemed to come up the most was recycling, and we do have a motion later on this evening as a part of the agenda with respect to the recycling issue, which I think will hopefully put minds of downtown business owners and property owners at ease. I want to give a big thank you to Reverend Ken McQuarrie and the folks at Knox Presbyterian Church who last week held their annual Christmas concert in support of the Out of the Cold program. Thank you for the work that you do for our community. It's always a great way to kick off the holiday season. I want to thank the folks at the Grantham Lions for hosting 2 great community events over the weekend. On Friday, I got to go to the fish fry. Then on Sunday, I attended their breakfast with Santa. It was great to see everyone out and supporting the Lions with these 2 events. On that note, the breakfast with Santa at the Grantham Lions was wonderful. And coming up next Sunday is breakfast with Santa at the Grantham Optimist Club at 9 o'clock. I think it's 9 till 12. So apparently, Santa really likes Grantham. Last week on Friday, CAO Oakes and I had the opportunity to attend a virtual meeting of the Ontario Big City Mayors. That meeting led to a request by the Big City Mayors to the province of Ontario to declare a state of emergency with respect to the homelessness crisis. We reiterated the solvethecrisis.ca campaign, and we are asking the province to put more resources towards the issues surrounding homelessness, mental health, and opioids. Some upcoming events. A reminder that registration for the city's winter recreation and aquatics programming opens online for residents on Tuesday, December 9th at 6 p.m. at stcatharines.ca/activestc, while the in-person registration for residents opens on Wednesday, December 10th at 8:30 a.m. at the St. Catharines Kiwanis Aquatic Center. There are plenty of recreation and swimming programs to keep those of all ages active this winter, so make sure to register early to avoid disappointment. That one has been in my family's personal calendar for about 2 weeks now, so my wife doesn't miss it because she gets frustrated when she misses the date. I hope you will join me downtown for the Civic Carol concert tomorrow, December 9th at St. Thomas Church. It is a special afternoon of music and community. Doors open at 11:30 a.m. The concert runs from noon until 1:30 p.m. and admission is free. However, we do ask if you're able to make a donation, we encourage it to help support the important work of community care. I hope to see you there to celebrate the season together in the heart of the downtown. And while we are speaking of community care, a reminder to everyone that this Friday, December the 12th, is Community Care's annual Great Holiday Food Drive at Market Square from 6 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you are able, please think about dropping by and bringing along a non-perishable food donation to help folks in need this holiday season. Councillor Harris always dresses up as an elf, and apparently Councillor Mako will be dressing as an elf as well this year, which... And finally, I want to, before turning things over to the fire chief, I do want to give a big thank you to him, his deputy chiefs, and the entire fire service for all of their hard work over the weekend with the fire at the old Standard building. I'm going to throw things over to Chief Upper to give us an update.
Evening, Mr. Mayor, through you to yourself and council, just a report on what happened over the weekend. I think we've all read in the media, so shortly before 11 o'clock on Friday night, St. Catharines Dispatch received a call that we had a working fire in the old Standard building. When crews arrived, we had a well-involved fire in the upper floors on the office side of the building, so on the Queen Street side. Crews went in to try to make an interior attack and do a bit of a search. They were greeted with pretty heavy fire conditions. There were some structural integrity issues. They seen some pretty significant holes in the floor, and it was at that time they made the decision to pull back and fight this from the outside. Once we got an aerial up and a couple of firefighters up on a platform, we had a better vantage point. We could see that the fire was not only on the front side of Queen Street, but it extended to the center of the building, which would have been the old print shop. Pretty heavy fire involvement there. So at that point, we set up defensively on both sides, the William Street side and the Queen Street side, made water application. Probably around 2 o'clock, 2:30, we had a partial collapse of the roof, and then we had a larger collapse later on. That really kind of tied our hands because now you've got the seat of the fire is protected by this collapsed portion of the building. So we continued to cover our exposures and try to get water in there, but we knew once we had daylight, we had to get some heavy equipment in to start pulling it apart. Crews worked through the night. We held the scene. We got some heavy equipment in on Saturday. They did a pretty good job. Saturday afternoon, we had majority of the fire contained. We knew that there were still some burning hot spots. So on Sunday morning, we reconvened. Crews, of course, sat through the night on the building. Once daylight broke, we started again, and we did find some more hot spots on Sunday, but by Sunday at lunch, we were pretty confident we had the fire out. There was an engineer on site working with them, and the determination was made that there was significant structural damage to the building and that it was not going to be salvageable with the amount of fire damage, that the building should come down. So where are we now? Met today with the owners. Bylaw was on site along with building. So the fire's out, so we're good there. We're concerned for public safety. On the street side on Queenston, my concern is, we've got windows that are blown out, so we've got some debris, some glass, shards of glass, so I don't want to see anything getting blown out and pushed onto the street and see one of our members of the community get tagged with a piece of flying glass. So we fenced off and we've closed Queen Street for the time being. William Street is a partial closure. We still have access to the parking garage, so when it comes to events, whether it's at the PAC or the Meridian Center, we're able to still park. And then working with the bylaw and the building department, the owners are going to get an engineer's report that states that the front is unstable, needs to come down. They'll be applying for a demolition permit, and then we'll be bringing the building down. The one hiccup that we ran into is the La Scala building, 9 Queen Street beside it. This was prior to the fire. Once the dust settled and we started having a look at the building, we noticed that there's the northern wall on the La Scala building has collapsed on its own, unrelated to the fire, and it's leaning onto the standard building. So of course, once we pull the wall from the standard building down, that wall at 9 Queen Street is going to collapse as well. So it's kind of a bit of a domino effect, obviously beyond our control. But so as it sits right now, we'll have Queen Street closed for a couple of days while we're waiting for, the city's going to engage a structural engineer to see how much we need to close on Queen Street. The concern is that front facade wall is going to come down. If the engineer tells us otherwise, we'll be able to pull the fencing back. If they have concerns about it coming down, we'll have Queenston Street or Queen Street fully closed, and we'll have to get some more heavy equipment in to bring the wall down. So it's just kind of a waiting game for the engineers to give us direction. So that's what I've got for you today, Mr. Mayor.
All right, thank you, Chief, and again, thank you to you and your folks for all the hard work they put in over the weekend. I know it was a very busy weekend and not the one we were hoping to have necessarily, but we appreciate the hard work. Out of curiosity, are these questions for the chief or are they just additions to the mayor's report? Because we can do questions for the chief first. Okay, so if anybody wants to jump in with a question for the chief, now's the time. Councillor Phillips is up first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. At the same time as you were fighting that fire, I understand you were, not you, your crews were fighting a fire on Welland Avenue, or at about that time. And you and I have talked numerous times about the cause of these fires, exploding batteries. This time of year, there's going to be all kinds of Christmas presents with batteries. Could you make a comment about all of a sudden, this, you indicated this has become the #1 cause pretty well of residential fires. I think we were talking about that. What can people do to ensure that that doesn't happen? Where are these batteries coming from? I think I know. Can you make a comment about that? Because a lot of people are concerned.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. So amongst all the work that we were doing over on Queen Street at 3:15 in the morning, we had a second report of a working fire on 437 Welland Avenue, which was a medical building. So we had to pull crews. We had already had off-duty crews called in, so we had every single piece of equipment that the City of St. Catharines owns at 2 fires. The findings at the Welland Avenue fire was that the cause was a lithium-ion battery. As the councillors indicated, cooking is still the #1 cause of fires, unattended cooking, but lithium-ion batteries are definitely challenging for the #1 spot. So Through our public messaging, what we're trying to encourage is that lithium-ion batteries are great when used properly. Please use to the manufacturer's directions. When you're charging them, keep them on a nice hard surface like the tables we see in front of us, not on soft surfaces like pillows and beds and couches. Use the manufacturer charging components. Don't try to swap batteries out, using a DeWalt battery in a rigid tool or a rigid battery in a DeWalt tool. So thanks for the chance to speak on that.
Are there batteries that are coming into the country that are not of the same quality as you indicate, say Milwaukee or Ryobi or something like that?
Yes, absolutely. The manufacturers obviously spend a lot of money and time in research and development for their whether it's a toy, a computer, electronic device, a tool. And so that battery is specifically designed for that device. And so when we go on to, whether it's a retail store or online and we do some shopping, we have to be really cognizant of what we're buying, because some of the knockoff batteries, even though they're significantly cheaper, are not made and designed the way the manufacturer requires them to be, and it can be problematic.
Thank you, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Chief. Well, for my family and probably a lot of other families in the community, there was lots of close connections. My father worked as a printer there for 42 years. My late brother worked there for 20 years in the press room. And I worked there through high school, and know lots of people who did. But I'm under no illusion that that was going to be saved as a heritage building. However, my concern is that we're putting firefighters' lives at risk. This isn't the first large vacant building that we've seen go down, and I'm really concerned about the prevention side. I asked about when it was inspected last, and my understanding, and staff can clarify on this, that there was an external inspection of it, but like Ssonix and some of these other places that we've encountered, are we going to change our approach and have some inspections that involve getting into these buildings and seeing exactly what's going on? I mean, we can do an inspection on the outside, but that's not necessarily guarantee us that there's not activities, unscrupulous activities, homeless people or whatever occupying these buildings. So what can we do to change? Because this is not the first time we've lost a building like this, and we got to start doing something differently to avoid putting people's lives, particularly firefighter, frontline responders' lives at risk. Is there suggestions? Do we need to have a report, or what approach do we need to take? Are doing things different in other communities so they're not experiencing what we have? I don't mean to dump that on you, Chief, but you could maybe talk to some of the points.
Sure. So through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor in the group, there's a couple things that we've done for years prior to even the vacant building bylaw. As you alluded to, that vacant buildings are very dangerous for us. We have two classifications in the fire service: vacant and abandoned. So for years, Sunday mornings were an opportunity for us to go drive our districts, to learn the streets, but also learn the buildings. Many years ago, we started to create a vacant and abandoned building list on an Excel spreadsheet, old school style. So that's been a practice that's been in play all along. Then I believe it was our former chief building officer, John Lane, brought in with Paul Shadoba the vacant building bylaw. And so we partnered with them to put that together and create the vacant building list. So crews are proactively going out, and on Sundays they have a list of buildings and they check off the buildings that they visited, and so we try to stay concurrent on that.
Sorry, does that mean they've been inside the buildings?
Yeah, sometimes they can't get in because the buildings are supposed to be secure, right? That's part of the vacant building bylaw. So if they see an insecure building, they will walk in, and then they report that through email to the team in bylaw, and then bylaw follows up to make sure that building gets secured that week. So there is times if it's insecure, we'll make entry. When they check a building and it's boarded up properly and it's secured, then obviously we can't get in. So that's, and that's the way we want the building is secured, so that you can't get into it. With regards to the fire prevention component, across the province, how we function is, we call it request and complaint, that when a business owner, for example, is either looking for a new business license or a renewal, that's a request, and that comes into the office, and then that's assigned to one of the inspectors, and then they conduct the inspection for that business owner. Complaint is the other one, where whether it's a worker from inside the business or a complaint from a neighbor, resident, or whatever, that also triggers an inspection from our team. And that's pretty much how we function across the province. So I know we're trying to be much more proactive in the fire service than we have in the past, so we're always looking for opportunities, trying to find ways to improve.
Thank you. And one other question. I read that there's not going to be a fire marshal's investigation into the cause of the fire. I wonder if you could just clarify why that's not taking place.
Sure. I know some people have asked about that. So pretty much the same as the Welland House fire. There was so much damage done fire-wise. Obviously, the firefighters had to come out because it's unsafe. So even just at that alone, it would be the office of the fire marshal plus our investigations team. If the firefighters can't go in there, we certainly don't want our firefighters or our investigators in there. Then you add, that there was a fire and the structural collapse. And for us to put that fire out, we have to pull that building apart. So we basically just destroyed any evidence that we would have to do the investigation. So when talking to the fire marshal, we knew that because obviously we've had this type of thing happen before. And so they were, doing some work on the Welland Avenue fire and then having conversations with them with regards to the fire on Queen Street. The determination was made is that we're going to classify the fire as undetermined. So that's how that came about.
Thank you. And I don't want you, I'm not asking you to speculate, but was electrical power shut off to the building, or was there electrical still there?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to council. There was no utilities to the building, so no hydro, no gas, no water.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. And could I go to Councillor Townsend?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To the fire chief, I'd like to commend the fire services. They've been really busy this week and today as well. Another incident that happened downtown. I'm wondering, I look at when council put in the encampment bylaw to allow staff to go in to ensure that there's no dangerous situations in encampments. I'm wondering if the fire chief can maybe just comment on the situation today with the under the bridge, and if fire services or staff will be looking more carefully into what's being used on encampment sites. This is a perfect example of today, which resulted in a very dangerous situation downtown. I'm just wondering from either fire services or the staff side, what strategies are we going to be implementing when it comes to encampments? And again, an example of it was today.
I will pick up the first part, and then I will throw it over to the chief. With respect to the encampment you're referring to under the Westchester Bridge, it's important for the community to know that encampment is not on city property. And so our public space use bylaw doesn't apply in that situation. I'm going to keep my half an eye on the deputy CAO as I say, the bridge structure itself is owned by the province, while the land under the bridge structure is owned by the region. So yes, it's a little bit convoluted. So we have flagged this and flagged it several weeks ago to both regional staff and to Ministry of Transportation staff that these issues are ongoing. So the result today of a lack of action by whomever claims jurisdiction over this, I think we saw the result today. With respect to the fire services response, though, I'll throw it back over to the fire chief because he can speak to that.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. Later this afternoon, we received a call about an encampment fire underneath the Westchester Bridge. It's not been our first event there. We've had some smaller ones. So the crew arrived on scene, significant fire there, so they extinguished the fire. There was no unhoused folks on scene. Everybody was gone. We were thankful there was no injuries, but also nobody to help us kind of figure out what had happened. With regards to being proactive, there's 2 members of our fire prevention unit that work a lot in the encampment. I know that there's a gentleman, Matt, and I can never say his last name, that works with our folks in Municipal Works, and they're making sure that the encampments are as safe as we can make them. So when it comes to, propane and gasoline and other areas, that if there is something that they're in violation of the fire code, then we make sure that it's brought into compliance. So it's a bit of a challenge, and as the mayor spoke to it, we've been working on this for several weeks now, trying to find out exactly who owns the property and trying to work collaboratively with whatever agency to get it cleaned up.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that. And I do have a follow-up question to that. And now that that fire has happened, who is responsible for the cleanup? Is that a city, region, province? Certainly we can't it won't just stay there based on all the damage that was created by that fire today. Just maybe the mayor can speak to that, the CAO.
So based on what I have seen, it looks to my eye, and maybe the chief can clarify, it looks like most of what is left is on the structure itself, which would make it Ministry of Transportation property. Some of it, though, some of the encampment was down on the ground in the area around it, which would make it regional responsibility. I've been given assurances that it has been flagged and will be dealt with as soon as possible. But as I said, and this is where I will give our staff credit, our staff have been trying to work with the other two levels of government to get this dealt with for many weeks. It's the unfortunate reality when we passed our public space use bylaw, it applies to city-owned public spaces. We can't enforce it on other levels of government's properties, which is unfortunate. I wish they would have been a little bit more responsive in this case because, there was a very real possibility of a tragedy today. Thankfully, that didn't happen, but I don't want us to be having this debate again around another fire 2 months from now because jurisdictionally, other levels of government can't figure out who has to deal with the issue.
Thank you, and I'll just comment. I guess my concern is if there's anything dangerous still on site, whether I understand there were propane tanks, gas tanks on site, and I don't think just leaving them there for the next coming weeks would be the appropriate, but I'm assuming staff, though, back to my point is that it's that city staff are the ones that are there cleaning up, and to my point is that the city is not being compensated for cleaning up the ministry lands, the regional lands. It's on the local taxpayer, not where we should be getting some of our funding from Niagara and the province. So
you are correct, and I will say that I think the fire chief addressed anything that's out of compliance with the fire code will be dealt with. So to your point about propane tanks and gasoline tanks. But to your further point, you're 100% correct, and this is a point that this council has made repeatedly to upper levels of government. The downstream effects, the things that happen because of the homelessness are being heaped entirely on top of local taxpayers and the property tax bill, and that's just not fair. So I appreciate you raising that, Councillor, because the point needs to be made again and again until upper levels of government properly fund the solution side of this, which is not our bailiwick, but we're being left to deal with the after effects.
thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. So before the fire talk, we were doing the mayor's report, and I did want to open up the opportunity if any members of council want to add to the mayor's report before we go on. It is a long agenda this evening, so I would hope that maybe we can be relatively brief, but I also want to make sure we do give shine to those things that need it. Councillor McPherson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of updates from some churches downtown. St. George's Anglican Church, they're having a candlelight Christmas carol on Sunday, December 14th at 4. And they're also putting on a service called Blue Christmas, and it supports those who are dealing with grief or feeling low over the Christmas season, and that's on Wednesday, December 17th. Silver Spire Church is also having a Blue Christmas service, and that's on Sunday, December 14th at 2 p.m. Last week, or a couple of weeks ago, I attended the Artful Afternoon with Willow Arts Community, and they have 20 pieces of artwork that are available for auction. They're online. You can visit the willowcommunity.com website, or you can check them out on Instagram, and all the proceeds from the auction will support Willow programs. And there's, just going to say, I have my bid in on a few pieces, so please don't outbid me, but they are some very, very nice pieces of artwork that if you're looking for a nice Christmas present, they're there. And just not to go back to the fire, but I really do want to thank fire services for the incredible work, and also our city's communications team, who kept everybody up to date. Scott and the team did an incredible job, and it was very much appreciated. And also very appreciated that the Ontario Street parking garage was able to be open for the Ice Dog game. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of arts announcements. The Niagara Symphony is performing their Christmas, for lack of a better term, spectacular, on Saturday night and Sunday. Sunday is pretty well sold out, with the exception of a few single seats. There are available seats on Saturday night. They have two soloists performing with the symphony. The one lady has performed on Broadway in the play Hamilton. The other gentleman is nationally renowned as a soloist also. If you've never been there before, you will come out of there definitely in the Christmas spirit. If you're not, you should be called Scrooge for a long time. Also, the Foster Festival is performing this weekend at Mandeville Theatre in Ridley. They're performing Niagara Christmas Carol, which they've taken the play Christmas Carol and redefined it to suit Niagara in the building of the Welland Canal. We were there Saturday night, and it is a great show. I encourage people to support the Foster Festival also. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mako.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a shout out to the Port Dalhousie Beautification Works Committee for hosting their annual candlelight stroll on Saturday. Councillor Williamson and I attended. It was another fantastic event. Caroling, hot chocolate. There was 10 outdoor performances, started at the St. John's Church and traveled along Dalhousie. Great diversity of music, and definitely the biggest turnout I've ever seen for one of these events. So perfect weather night, and just, yeah, really got everyone ready for the Christmas spirit. And rumor has it, Councillor Williamson and I might do a duet next year. Let's see if it's Simon and Garfunkel classics. We'll see. But it was a really special event. Encourage anyone to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mako, and I appreciate you committing you and Councillor Williamson to a sing-along next year. Councillor Stevens.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier, well, I guess late November the 20th, there was a grand reopening of a new location of Cine Bakes. They've moved to 145 Welland Avenue, and you did the ribbon cutting there. So they're right beside Gail's Gas Bar. Beautiful cakes and cookies and all different things like that. So check it out for the holiday season. Great location. There's lots of parking. Cine Bakes, very good. The GNCC had their BA5 on Tuesday night, and it was held at Bridges, Niagara. You know, so that was known as the Folk Arts. Folk Arts, not to be confused though, the Folk Arts Festival is still an ongoing thing, but Bridges has rebranded to help all our new Canadians, get along here in St. Catharines and Niagara, and to showcase that the Robbie Hall is available for rentals for weddings and everything. It's a beautiful piece of history, and it's a gorgeous hall, so it is available for rentals if somebody chooses so. This Thursday, December, geez. Between 5 and 7, the Niagara District Airport is hosting a holiday Christmas social in conjunction with the Niagara-on-the-Lake Chamber of Commerce. There's going to be some food, some wine. All us commissioners will be there to ask any questions, and you'll be able to come and see our Grand Master plan for the airport and any questions you have. So that's Thursday from 5 to 7. Thank you. Oh, one more thing. I just got an email. So I got an email from Smart Centers. I got to give Smart Centers a shout out. Someone contacted me a while ago, and the old Franny Packard building on the service road, when they tore it down, had a stone thing, whatever, on top of the building that came from the original building when they were downtown St. Catharines. It was at that location, and then, the building's been since sold, and there was rumor that it was laying around in the field, and I called Smart Centers up. They found it, they saved it, and has now been delivered to the St. Catharines Museum. So, little piece of history there. Give a shout out to Smart Centers. And while I'm there on that note, maybe when the standard's being torn down, there's that one there that was listed in the paper, that possibility that we could save that as well. And in the deconstruction, that there was a thing in the paper that the backwards D and everything was a history thing, and you know, it's always nice that we can keep some of our history, so hopefully maybe we can do something with that as well. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. Last week, the Standard High School boys basketball, which has been for many years a cornerstone local tradition, kept up its reputation by being another excellent, well-attended early season competition. We owe many thanks to the organizing committee, the sponsors, including the primary one, Accenture, the coaches and volunteers who made this another outstanding tournament. I'd also like to thank the committee for creating a new award named in honor of Jim Bradley, which is for a player who shows citizenship and leadership off the court. I was pleased to present the award, which includes a scholarship bursary. The deserving recipient was Mujib Aruna from Thorold Secondary School. Congratulations to Dennis Morse for winning the championship, and to Governor Simcoe for making it to the final. And further plaudits to Xavier Griffith from DM for being selected as the tournament MVP, and Noah Budgell for being the top scorer by a wide margin. Secondly, appreciations due to the Garden City Kiwanis Hockey League for having another successful food and toy drive for community care this past weekend. And the St. Catharines Fire Services supported the events again with 5 of the 6 members who attended Burgoyne Arena. And they came out even after they've been fighting that fire all night. So that full credit to them for showing up. And the kids really enjoyed getting a tour of a ladder truck. So I dropped by, and it was a pleasure to see the boxes of non-perishable food and toys, and specific thanks to Jeff Haslam, Terry, and their team. Lastly, I was pleased to help out at the Niagara Peninsula Children's Foundation concert in Meriton, which was a fundraiser and clothing drive, and it raised a healthy sum for a great cause. Thank you.
We may have a new Kinder Burgermeister. All right, seeing no other additions to the mayor's report, I will move on now to the adoption of the agenda, and I will turn things over to the clerk.
The following reports have been moved from consent to discussion. Item 9.1, Community Recreation and Culture Services, Honorary Street Naming Policy and Program. Item 9.9, Office of the CAO, Recycling for Non-Eligible Properties, Impact and Options. And item 9.11, Planning and Building Services, Information Report regarding 2360 First Street, Louth, Fire Suppression and Water Servicing. Council will discuss item 12.2, which is applications to amend the official plan and zoning bylaw and for draft plan and subdivision approval for 142 Queenston Street prior to item 12.1. That's the staff report on replacement and upgrade of the city's payroll and HR software, as there are registered delegates for that item. There is also an additional closed session item, being the annual CAO performance evaluation for council's procedure bylaw. A closed meeting regarding any matter not appearing in the agenda shall only be conducted upon a motion first being duly put and passed by unanimous vote. So that'll happen at the end of this spiel. And the following items of additional correspondence have been placed in council sugar sink folder for the non-confidential materials. And the non-confidential materials will be part of the council correspondence listing for December 11th, which is available on the city website. Related to item 9.6 tonight, report on the first Ontario Performing Arts Centre Board of Management appointment of new citizen board members, confidential appendix 1. For item 12.1, report on replacement and upgrade of city payroll and HR software, there's confidential appendix 4. There's a confidential memorandum from the Director of Community Recreation and Culture Services regarding Port Dalhousie Transient Dockage Update, License Agreement Extension with Timber Group Limited. Correspondence from the Canadian-Polish Congress regarding the 550th anniversary of Nicholas Copernicus. And then regarding item 12.2, report on 142 Queenston Street, there's correspondence from Vive Development. For item 9.9, report on recycling for non-eligible properties, there's correspondence received from the St. Catharines Downtown Association. And then finally, there's a confidential memorandum from the Director of Legal and Clerk Services regarding provincial direction concerning consultation.
All right, so we have a motion the council approve the addition of a closed session item not appearing on the agenda in accordance with procedure bylaw 2024-155, section H2. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Phillips, Councillor McPherson. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. Can I have a motion to adopt the agenda as amended? Councillor Harris, Councillor Townsend, all those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Adoption of the minutes. We need a motion to adopt the minutes of the regular council meeting held on November 17th and of the regular council budget meeting held on November 19th. So can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Williamson, Councillor Lindell. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Are there any declarations of interest this evening? Seeing none, we have a motion to move the consent reports. Can I get a motion to approve the consent agenda, save and accept those items brought forward for discussion? That will be Councillor Stevens. And I will look to the clerk to read the list and then call the roll.
Today's consent agenda includes item 9.2, Community Recreation and Culture Services, naming of outdoor community and event space at 45 Lake Court Road. Item 9.3, Economic Development and Tourism Services, to declare surplus and land exchange a portion of Clifford's Creek Park with a portion of 18 Phelps Street. Item 9.4 from Fire Services, single source procurement of an automated dispatch system. Item 9.5, Legal and Clerk Services, amendments to bylaw 2018-177 regarding First Ontario Performing Arts Centre Board composition. Item 9.2, Legal and Clerk Services, First Ontario Performing Arts Centre Board of Management appointment of new citizen board members. Item 9.7, Office of the CAO, Second Annual Strategic Plan Dashboard. Item 9.8, Office of the CAO Development Charge Rental Housing Discount Grant Program. And item 9.10, Planning and Building Services Annual Report on Revenues, Expenses, and the Stabilization Reserve Fund for 2024. Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge. Yes. Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Right. Before we go any further, I will just point out that only Councillor Stevens, Councillor Dodge, and I have any Christmas spirit whatsoever, and I will give credit to Councillor Dodge for the most Christmas spirit. Those don't count. Councillor Dodge has glowing light bulbs around her neck. Do not show me your earrings. And I will give a shout out to Brianne Whitty, who is also wearing red this evening. It doesn't count, I know. She wears the same jacket to council every week. All right, moving on to the discussion reports. 12.2, we are starting with Planning and Building Services, Planning Services applications to amend the official plan and zoning bylaw, and for draft, plan of subdivision approval, subject lands 142 Queenston Street. On November 17th, 2025, Council held and closed a public meeting for this application and then referred this report back to staff. The request from Council was to consider a refreshed recommendation and for myself, the ward councillors, and the CAO to meet to determine how we as the city can work with the developer to achieve a recommendation that works for all parties. Those meetings have occurred over the past couple of weeks, and staff have provided a memo in response to Council's referral. Staff have revised a portion of the recommendation as identified within the memo in the report. Prior to discussing the report, I will call upon Tammy Catay, Director of Planning and Building Services, to provide opening remarks. Ms. Catay.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and members of Council. As the Mayor has stated, at the November 17th meeting of Council, staff were directed to meet with the Mayor, the CAO, and the ward councillors to discuss the draft plan conditions and the zoning bylaw. Staff then met with other internal departments, including development engineering, legal, and others. We met with the region, and we also met with the developers to provide our feedback back on what we've heard through this 360 review. So those meetings did inform staff's recommendation and our revised, and we were able to revise many of our conditions that were provided to Council tonight on the agenda. In summary, we were amenable to removing conditions that can be completed later on through the site plan control process. We removed the requirement to design the trail and instead offered to take the required cost for the city to do that. We tied the timing of the park parquet block and the multi-use trail to the construction of the road extension, and we increased the time to clear conditions from 3 to 5 years, and on multiple conditions changed the wording to provide clarity and predictability. We were unable to recommend shifting costs triggered by the development from the developer to the city, and delaying of the timing road, parquet block, and multi-use trail until Tower 5 was also something that staff were not able to recommend. So ultimately, planning staff recommend no changes to the zoning bylaw amendment, but the modifications to the draft plan conditions are outlined in Appendix 1 of the memo that has been provided to you this evening. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Ms. Cathay. Prior to discussing the report, we will hear delegations from David Galbraith, President from Up Development, and Stephen Litt, the applicant. So at this time, I will call upon David Galbraith, the President of Up Consulting, to present. Mr. Galbraith, the lectern is yours.
All right, good evening, Mayor, members of council. My name is Dave Galbraith. I'm a registered professional planner and the president of Up Consulting here tonight on behalf of 5 Developments with regard to the proposed master plan development of 142 Queenston. I'm not going to go through the presentation. I might just flip to slide 4 if that's possible. I spoke at the formal meeting of council 3 weeks ago and will try to avoid repeating myself as much as possible. Since this time, city staff have considered various suggested changes to the proposed draft plan conditions, which has led to some of the changes to the staff recommendations to the draft plan conditions, as Tammy had outlined. We do appreciate staff's consideration of these items. Notwithstanding, we continue to have concerns with both the recommended zoning bylaw amendment as well as the draft plan condition. With regards to zoning, we reiterate that the regulations proposed as part of the application are appropriate and reasonable to facilitate the development that was presented to you a couple weeks ago. I'm just going to flip to the site plan. I think it might be the next slide, actually. There we go. And this concept was also somewhat favorably well received by members of public, as you heard several supportive delegations. We continue to have concerns with regard to the proposed 25-meter tower-to-tower separation. Many municipalities have this standard, and that standard makes sense in a lot of cases. But here you can see that we have proposed reduced separation between many of the towers, namely the center block, to provide for some diversity in the overall streetscape and design. And we also note that City of Waterloo, by contrast, and I know that's a different municipality, but where I live and work predominantly, requires 22 meters of setback for most towers. Similarly, it's our recommendation that other site-specific regulations that have been presented to council previously and tailored to the design on the screen be implemented by council this evening. We continue to also have some concerns with regard to the draft plan conditions as proposed, namely tied to when the Valley View extension will be constructed and conveyed to the municipality. We maintain that the first few phases of the project can and should advance prior to this taking place for a number of pragmatic reasons. As indicated previously, the area corresponding to the road extension is under active remediation currently, with the corresponding areas for the adjacent residential development in Block 3 anticipated to take several years of remediation. Beyond that, this area is also used for staging and construction access to the broader site. So it's our recommendation that the draft plan conditions be modified to allow for the first 5 towers to be constructed prior to this being, prior to Valley View being extended out. This would also make sense as the Valley View extension is directly linked to Tower E and F, which we feel is the reasonable time. So for these reasons, we're recommending that the timing of this extension be linked to permit issuance of Building E, which would be the 5th tower on the site. With that, I will conclude my delegation, and I'm happy to respond to any questions you might have.
All right, thank you, Mr. Galbraith. Are there any questions from council for Mr. Galbraith? Councillor Lindell.
I just have a couple of quick questions. So what you're asking for is that you don't construct Valley View until all 5 towers are built, because you're using the middle property and the side property for staging.
Staging, stockpiling, and then it's also under active remediation. So as the draft plan conditions are worded right now, that road extension would have to happen before a superstructure permit would be issued for any previous phases.
So my question is, as well, is where, if you've got the 2 towers built, where does the traffic go to and from? Because Queenston Street is a major arterial road that takes traffic from Hartsel Road to downtown and from downtown back to Hartsel Road. And it can get extremely busy, which is the reason why Valley View needs to be built. So I'm curious as to what it would take to ease the traffic on Queenston Street if I'm going to have 5 buildings that are all going to go out into the same road.
Right. So we have had a technical memorandum prepared by our traffic consultant addressing kind of this interim condition. And one of the recommendations would be limiting traffic to right-out movements for the time being from the main access between the between Tower 2 and 3. So traffic would, rather than trying to make the difficult left turn, would be directed to move eastward. So there's different ways that that could be done. We had looked at the alternative of having a one-way access out onto Oakdale, which the hospital previously had. But there's other things that can be incorporated. So it's called a pork chop island. It's a raised concrete median that would be put on our site to direct traffic to the east. So basically it would just limit the left turn movement out of the site as an interim condition. And then in the future, once future phases are developed, that median could be removed and allow for the left turn movements out onto Queenston.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Lindell. Any other questions? Seeing none. All right, thank you very much, Mr. Galbraith, for your presentation. At this time, I'll call Stephen Litt, applicant, to present. Mr. Litt, lectern is yours.
Thanks for having me again, folks. Appreciate everyone's time. I think Dave said just about everything. I'm here primarily just for questions. Just wanted to reiterate this sort of the phasing of when the road gets built. So, you know, if we build it after the 3rd phase, the challenge is that all of our construction traffic will be over it all day long. Effectively, we'll have to build a road and then close it for construction, which just doesn't make a lot of sense, right? It'll get damaged. We have to put our own damage deposit for a road we just built. So our traffic consultant believes that, you know, there's an interim measure that can be addressed via right in, right out on a temporary basis. I know staff's position is that you can't necessarily enforce a right in and right out, but it's no different than any other traffic violation, right? There's a ticketing system, there's signage and such. So it's not easy. I recognize that projects, you know, we all have to recognize rather that projects have to get built, and there's an awkward phase to do that. So I really like council to really consider allowing us to build the first 4 buildings and occupy them, and then before the 5th that road gets built along with the parks in a safe fashion, so that we can A, remediate the site, which a lot of greenfield sites don't have, and B, phase a high-rise site with 2.5 levels of underground parking accordingly. So here to be dragged in lots of questions if anyone has any. Thank you.
All right, do we have any questions? Councillor Lindell.
So what you're asking for is, before you build Valley View, is to go from 850 units to how many units?
1350.
So that's 4 buildings?
5.
5 buildings?
Yes.
Okay. If we went with 3 or 4 buildings, would that be a deal breaker? Would you not do the development? Sorry, I'm a direct person.
I love it. No, as am I. So the challenge is, it doesn't really make a difference to the community. Like that, we will have to we'll build a road and we'll apply to bylaw to close the road to have vehicles going over it all day long during construction, right? And then you can't really open up a build, like, we go through this all the time when we actually get a permit to close a road a lane or two in front of a building on a tight site. So the alternative is, we build that and then we close Queenston, a lane of Queenston I'm just trying to get ahead of something that I think generally speaking, councils don't hear about. We want to build this and we want to, we've put a lot of thought into that phasing. So it's going to be a lot more difficult to the public for us to build that because it's going to require more permits to shut down streets and such. So it adds more cost to the project, right?
Okay, so that's...
Call a spade a spade. So
yeah.
if you can envision... yeah. So envision a road that gets built through the middle of a high-rise site, and then you have to have 2.5 levels of shoring, and you're building the parking next door to that, and you're like building it on your back, right? And having to cross the street. Like it doesn't make logical sense. We hear the concerns about traffic onto Queenston, but when this community is done, effectively all the traffic goes to Queenston. We have some that gets diverted through the quiet neighboring residential, but that ultimately goes back up to Queenston as an arterial road. So I personally don't see, and our traffic consultant doesn't see the difference between two accesses. I mean, one would be signalized eventually, but I personally think that the interim measure of having the 5 is suitable.
So the road that goes behind the building, that's going to connect to Valley View eventually, right?
Correct, it does.
So that would be a way for people to get in and out of the buildings off Valley View over to Westchester and Queenston Street, right?
Yep, for sure.
And onto Oakdale?
Yeah, that back road is really intended to be like kind of a service move in, move out. Like we're going to manage expectations so that it's not really a prime thoroughfare. It's really meant to manage backdoor access, right? So move in, move out, garbage, all this stuff, right? There's a lot of that activity that happens on the back of sites, so.
Okay, so my question is going to be again.
Sure.
Is this a deal breaker if it's 3 buildings or 4 buildings or 5 buildings?
I think it's going to take a lot longer to hit the end result. So I would say yes, it would be a deal breaker for us.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Lindell. Seeing no other questions, I will thank the presenter for his presentation.
Cool. Thank you.
Can I get a councillor to move the motion to receive the delegations? Councillor Harris, Councillor Dodge. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. So we move on. There is a recommendation in the report. However, the ward councillor has indicated that she has a recommendation that she will be bringing, and so I will give Councillor Lindell the opportunity to make that motion at this time. It's the alternate recommendation. So, Councillor, if you would like to speak to this. And I believe the seconder for this will be Councillor Miller, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Miller.
I live to serve.
So the mayor was talking earlier about the railway bridge going from in Western Hill and how it was closed and lots of business suffered. I have businesses on Queenston Street who have been waiting for a development for almost 11 years, over 10 years. So my desire is to have this particular development done, but I am cognizant of city staff's problems with having a road and 1,350 people trying to get through onto different roads from one access. I was wondering why I asked the question of Mr. Litt, if this was going to be a deal breaker. So my amendment under the zoning bylaw amendment is to, instead of having it at the beginning of the development, if we can do it at 4 buildings instead of, if that's possible.
So the alternate bylaw that we have in front of us is predicated on 3 buildings. So if we scroll down in the draft plan of subdivision area, that would move it from Tower D to Tower E.
I need to see them. Yeah.
And then it would change the number of residential units. 4 buildings would be how many residential? 1,100. So we would change at the top, Orexi at the top of that page, change 850 to 1,100.
Is that amenable to you as well, Councillor Miller?
Oh, I guess I'm just extra here.
I didn't want Councillor Miller to think that we were ignoring him.
Yes, that is amenable to me.
Wonderful, I'm taking notes. Yeah, so can I, before we go any further, Orexi, have you been able to make the change on your screen, or is it frozen? So at the top of page 2, the very first line, it says save and accept for up to 850. That should be changed to 1,100. Ele- 850 should be changed to 1,100. And then halfway down the page, it says Tower D, and that should be changed to Tower E. All right. Councilor Lindell, you still have the floor. I just want to make sure that that was correct.
And I'm hoping, Mr. Litt, that this would be a good compromise in that you probably won't need that area for staging if you're on your 4th building at that particular point as much as before. So, thank you. I'm finished.
Thank you, Councilor. Just give us a second up here. Ms. Kate. And for clarity, I was not ignoring, but the clerk needed to explain something to me.
Thank you. Through the mayor, in an effort to implement the councillor's changes, I would also like to flag the holding provision will need an amendment as well, in addition to condition number 5. Condition 5 has already been amended, so, but the H removal will need to be amended to reflect the councillor's talking points.
Okay, so is that something we should be changing
in the bylaw itself?
In the bylaw itself. Okay, is that something we can change in short order?
Through the mayor, yes, probably need a couple of minute recess at some point.
That's fine. We can definitely accommodate that if this passes. Okay. Are there any other speakers to the motion? All right. Then I will look to the clerk to call the roll. Councilor Lindell, you will be voting first, so we just want to make sure you were back in your seat, that's all.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Ratzlaff.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right. Then I will ask staff if we can make that change so that we can make that a part of the bylaws this evening. We will move on to 12.1, which is corporate support services and financial management services, replacement and upgrade of city's payroll and HR software. Prior to discussing the report, I will call upon Jeanette Pilateri, Director of Corporate Support Services, and Adam Smith, Associate Director of Financial Management Services, and also wearing a wonderful, wonderful Christmas shirt. He was not in the room at the time when I was shouting people out, but they will be providing opening remarks this evening. Someone is giving opening remarks, right? I didn't speak out of turn there.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. So tonight, Director of Corporate Support Services, Jeanette Pelletieri, and I will be providing an introduction to the replacement and upgrade of the city's payroll and HR software report. While the timing is a bit awkward with the budget having just been adopted for 2026, this report is a follow-up to the capital project report for the second quarter of 2024, where funding to initiate this project was approved, and the report noted that we would bring a total project cost estimate and request for funding to complete the second phase, which is where we are tonight. This project was also highlighted during the 2026 multi-year capital budget readoption, where it was noted we were targeting this report for this meeting. The presentation slide was included as Appendix 3 to this report as a refresher. In consideration of everyone's time, I'll advance to where we are today with this project. We issued a negotiated RFP on September 24th and continue to work through the evaluation process, ensuring the solution selected will meet the city's needs now and into the future, given the size of the investment required. We will require sufficient budget to be in place before we would be in position to award a contract once the evaluation has been completed, which brings me to the recommended capital project funding noted in the report. This project completely uses existing funding sources, including transferring excess funding, including debt, from projects completed under budget, or where CCBF could replace funding could replace debt, funding from the Water and Wastewater Reserve, given that payroll and HR support those areas, and a transfer from the operating budget of unbudgeted WSIB rebate dollars the city has received in Q4 of 2025. In summary, the only new capital funding being recommended is the usage of the Water and Wastewater Reserve funds, with the balance of recommended project funding coming from transfers of previously approved capital funds and one-time operating budget dollars. These recommendations do not include any incremental debt approvals. In an effort to be as transparent as possible, we've also provided the operating budget impact from 2026 to 2031. The project is expected to take 2 years to complete, and during that period, all costs will be covered through the capital budget. Starting in 2028, the project will be complete and the licensing and staffing costs will transfer to the operating budget, as well as debt being issued and therefore the start of making debt payments. There will also be some reductions to the existing budget as we're able to remove the licensing costs for related legacy systems. And within the recommendations, you'll also find a request for an additional FTE starting in 2026, which would be funded from the capital budget during the project and transition to the operating budget in 2028. This additional role will be a functional support role for the new HCMS, assisting with training and troubleshooting as we move from a payroll system with around 20 users to a fully integrated system that will peak at over 1,200 users. The role will also be key for identifying new functionality and coordinating testing with system users and city IT staff during quarterly releases that cloud-based software solutions provide. Having this role start in 2026 to be part of the implementation project will provide them with invaluable experience and understanding of the system that they'll be supporting. So I'll turn it over to Jeanette to speak more to what the new HCMS will mean for the city.
Thank you, Adam. This project will be implemented in 2 phases over a 2-year time frame, with progress updates provided to council following the completion of each of these phases. It will require support of a dedicated staff team that we will need to backfill in order to limit the impact on maintaining our regular operations. The HCMS will modernize and streamline HR, payroll, and timekeeping functions by replacing outdated technology with unified cloud-based platform that supports consistent processes across the city. This modern solution will improve operational efficiency, reduce reliance on manual work, allow employee and manager self-service, and ensure city's core workforce systems are supported by secure, reliable, and sustainable technology. The system will strengthen decision-making by providing enhanced data collection and reporting. It will replace manual data consolidation
with centralized, accessible information, giving management timely and reliable insights. The HCMS will provide a scalable foundation that can adapt to future modules, automation, analytics, and emerging technologies as our organizational needs evolve. The HCMS will be implemented as a software-as-a-solution, cloud-based software platform where the vendor manages all software updates, security patches, system monitoring, performance optimization, and infrastructure resiliency. With this solution, we remove the need for the city to maintain on-premises servers and support with disparate systems. This approach reduces operational risk, improves system availability, and allows IT staff to reallocate their time to critical modernization and service-improved priorities. We would like to conclude with highlighting that this initiative aligns with Council's strategic priorities, including organizational excellence, specifically strategic direction as a customer service improvement, talent attraction and retention, and modernizing of processes and systems, along with performance management. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. This concludes staff's opening comments.
All right, can I get a councillor to move the recommendation in the report? Councillor Harris, Councillor Mako, right? Councillor Harris. Why did you press the button again, Councillor Harris?
I thought you wanted to talk to me.
Thank you, Orexi. Councillor Harris.
Oh.
Don't touch the button again.
Well, it's red.
Yes, because
I really had nothing to say. I just wanted to say I'd do the motion, and a good report by both of you, and that's about it.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I agree with Councillor Harris's short explanation. Yeah, I think that staff has done an excellent, thorough job here, and they've brought in a consultant, I'm sure, who has the expertise and has done this in other municipalities. I guess I kind of have two concerns. One is that we're pulling $2.7 million from the wastewater reserve. And second is that we're hiring another full-time equivalent position to administrate this. Is this, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the staff person who'd like to answer, is this a contract temporary position, or are we adding another full-time person to our complement? Thank you.
So through the mayor, so I think I'll maybe start with the FTE piece and then circle back to the wastewater reserve. So really, we are talking about a permanent FTE, not just a contract role. So we do need to staff up during the project, so we will have contract staff that will be brought in to backfill permanent staff for the duration of the project. We are looking to have one person who will be there throughout the project, who will be brought in as a new FTE and then stay beyond the project. We've found with some of our other system implementations, our PeopleSoft implementation, we didn't have an additional FTE during the project, but we brought one on when it went live to help with the support. It's been a significant benefit. It's allowed us to continue to look at process improvements post-go live. And when we're going to a cloud-based system for an HCM, there are quarterly releases where they're adding new functionality, and there's also testing that's required to be done on a quarterly basis. So some of that's IT-based testing, and we have some staff support for that. But there's also a lot of functional testing, so just making sure that everything is still working properly. And so we feel that we do need that additional resource in order to make sure that we're staying on top of everything and keeping the systems up to date and taking advantage of those new functions as they're being brought forward. And then just with respect to the water and wastewater reserve, when we tried to look at it, we've got close to 30% of our staffing touches water and wastewater in some way. It's appropriate, so when we do cost allocations as part of our financial information returns, we are spreading costs out to all of the cost centers. So the way we looked at it is it's appropriate for them the water and wastewater budget to be sharing it in a proportionate cost of that project.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor. Councillor Mako.
Thank you, Mayor. Through you to staff, payroll and HR software systems used by all local area municipalities. So I was just curious from a procurement perspective, do we look at shared services? Do we look at exploring cost efficiencies by coordinating this? Because I'm pretty sure other municipalities have recently transitioned to new systems as well. So maybe you could just speak to that collaboration that exists when we are procuring these large systems.
Thanks. So through the chair, certainly there are discussions that we have with other municipalities from counterparts in other municipalities when we're looking at some of these new systems. In this case, we did bring in a consultant for phase one of the work, which was to look at a couple of options and a couple of specific options. So we wanted to look at what basically a single source would look like, what would the opportunities look like if we were to try and partner with another municipality and do a shared services arrangement, and comparing that to going to an RFP and just going out to the market and seeing what the market would bring forward. So one of the pieces that the consultants brought back to kind of say was different from the finance side, where we have a shared services arrangement with the region, to the HCM, is on the financial side, municipalities are very similar, so they may do things slightly differently, but they have the same reporting that they have to do to the province, a lot of those sort of things. When you get into the HR and payroll side, a lot of differences in terms of collective agreements, in terms of the way payroll is processed, a lot of more concerns about more confidential information. So when you've got a shared service, do you have somebody from one municipality seeing all the confidential payroll related information from another municipality? So those were some of the pieces they highlighted. They did recommend, having it open and allowing people to put forward shared services submissions as part of an RFP, and inviting anybody that we would have looked at single sourcing, invite them to participate in the RFP. So the RFP was put out there to the public, and we are in the evaluation process on those submissions.
Thank you for that. Maybe when it comes to picking a vendor, if another municipality has picked that same vendor in the last 5 years, I just think a community of practice aspect might help with the change management and also overcoming any hiccups that are inevitable with any sort of large system change. There's no need to start from scratch if one of our partners in Niagara has done a similar change in the last 5 years. Just my experience from other system change, it helps to have collaboration. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Phillips.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I appreciate the fact that you're going to have to hire a full-time FTE to implement this program. But in the report, it said that this program is going to reduce a lot of the tasks that are done manually at the present time. Over a lengthy period of time when this program is in full swing, and I appreciate the fact this FTE person will be staying with it because it sounds like a very technical program. But do you see a potential reduction in staff as far as the needs are concerned by this program taking over some of the tasks that are presently done by staff? And I'm talking maybe 3, 4, 5 years.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. I think it's undetermined at this point in time. When we provide the updates to council through our phase approach, I think we'll be addressing that with council if we're able to identify those opportunities. I think one thing that will happen is we have to see what the uptake will be with staff. There'll be a long transition. And I think even if the project is in implementation and we're past the 2 years, we will be reviewing this in the light of our budget processes, because I think what we're ascertaining as staff is that there's going to be partial efficiencies achieved across the board, but maybe not full-time FTE gains in efficiency. So I think we'll be talking through SLT and through the budget process on what that impact could be. So I think it's just difficult to determine at this point in time what that would look like, but that we would be providing updates to council with regards to any of those potential impacts.
Thank you, Councillor Phillips. Seeing no other questions, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens. And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
That's carried.
All right, moving on to 12.3. This was moved from consent to discussion by Councillor Stevens. This is the Honorary Street Naming Policy and Program. Can I get a mover and seconder? Councillor Stevens, can I get a seconder? Councillor Townsend? And I will turn off voting mode. And then Councillor Stevens, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, I'd just like to speak on that, Mr. Mayor, through you. I guess I was asked by the Polish Society of Niagara to help them have an honorary street name when I first got elected 3 years ago. I guess with the former Mayor Ssonix, they actually started with him to look into it. So fast forward to now, the Polish Society, Mayor Cisco and myself, we had some meetings a year or so ago, and it was discussed, and we thought it was a good idea and appropriate for the area. Other cities have done this in the past with little or no issues. So staff came back and suggested that we put forward for a request to have a report for a street naming policy. When we did that, that was November 18th, 2024. So it's been over a year for that to come back to us. So, I mean, I know staff's busy and stuff, but, you know, when we first started doing this, I think our meeting with the mayor and the society was probably before that. It was even in 2023. So it's just been going on a long time, and I think we should finally move ahead with this. It's nice to have this policy. I think it's great. You know, maybe there was no need for it before. So, yeah, having said that, there was a letter sent to everyone to in regards to why they want it and everything in the historical factor. And then one of the things I would just like to add to it was that at the request of the Canadian Polish Congress, Niagara District, regarding the honorific naming of Nicholas Copernicus Way, a section of Facer Street between Currie and Ormond be prioritized as one of the first requests to be processed under this policy, and that staff be directed to immediately engage with the Polish Congress, Canadian Polish Congress, Niagara District, to discuss their next steps in the process.
So would that be an amendment you wanted to make?
Yes.
All right, so I believe that's been forwarded through to staff. Do we have an amendment for this one?
No.
So I'm just looking at the seconder, Councillor Townsend, are you comfortable with the amendment?
Yeah.
Can we open up Councillor Townsend's mic just for a moment? Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think, Councillor Stevens and I did speak about this. As I'm thinking about this now, I think the appropriate thing to do on this would be to refer back to staff to come back with a historical background, just so I know Councillor Stevens and I, Nicholas Copernicus Way is, a lot of people here probably don't know who that is. I do, I don't know the whole background, but maybe if staff could come back, refer it back, to come back with that history, explaining why, and then that'll also give the Polish community to come forward to speak in favor of the renaming as well. And that gives Councillor Stevens and I some time to work further with the Polish community to have them come out and speak on it.
So I think that's what the amendment is asking for. I think that's essentially, it's not using a referral, but I think in...
So just to understand this, so the request isn't going forward, it's going to come back to council for approval?
The process would start, but it wouldn't.
Okay, thank you. I hadn't had a chance to see it yet.
No, that's totally understandable.
So, okay, if that's the case, just, we need to have them come and speak as well at council.
Yeah,
in support of it.
and
So-
they will have that opportunity for
Okay,
sure.
then I'm okay with this. Thank you.
Wonderful, okay.
I didn't see it before, that's why.
Okay, so can we open Councillor Stevens back up?
Yeah, I didn't ask them to come tonight and speak because the fact that I had them send the letter and it went to everybody's sugar sink. And I know you did read it probably, hopefully. It came late, but that's why I didn't ask them to come and speak on this tonight, because the letter went to explain some of the things. But they'd be more than willing to come here and explain the historical factor. And then at the request of Community Recreation Services there, that the fact that instead of doing a whole street or a whole section, we've had some discussion that the Facer Street area and just do a small section. The Curry to Ormond seems to be the biggest concentration of the Polish community in that area too, and that's one of the reasons why that was put like that. But as what Councillor Townsend said, perfect, yes, we can do that. Thanks, staff too.
Excellent. Seeing no other questions or comments, I will look to the clerk to call the roll on the amended motion.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right, moving on. Next is 12.4, sorry, move from consent to discussion. This is recycling for non-eligible properties, impacts and options. This was pulled by Councillor McPherson. Members of the Niagara Region Waste Management Team, Catherine Habermel, Mariano Singson, and Jennifer Wilson will be on Zoom, just in case councillors have operational questions. Moving the recommendation is Councillor McPherson. Do we have a seconder for this one? Councillor Lindell, all right. Just turn off voting mode, and then Councillor McPherson, if you wanted to speak to this. Yep, so you just have to log in.
Thank you. I just wanted to thank staff and the Niagara Regional staff for coming up with a solution. The enhanced level, the the recycling collection has been a really big issue in the downtown for almost a year now, and I really just wanted to say that the Downtown Association is very supportive of option 2. And they very much appreciate everything that's been done to help maintain and ease the burden of recycling for downtown businesses. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Williamson.
Well, I'm supportive of the recommendation that alternative recommendation Councillor McPherson has put forward. But my concern is this is really going to hurt diverting from our landfills. What is the background to this, if somebody on staff could respond to that?
I can give you a little bit of background. The province, over the last couple of years, has been transitioning to a producer responsibility model. One of the decisions that was made through this transition was that the producers were not responsible for collecting from industrial, institutional, commercial, in the province of Ontario. And this has created a bit of a problem because by removing municipalities from the collection of this and switching it to producer responsibility, it is now extremely expensive if municipalities want to continue to do the pickup of those industrial, commercial, and institutional spots. We did examine it at the region. It was just too much. The cost was just too high to be able to put onto taxpayers. It does very severely damage the diversion goals of the region. That's the reality. But this was a decision of the province, and I give a lot of credit to the regional staff because the regional staff worked very hard over the last year to try and get the province to revisit the decision to push the producers to deal with this type of recycling material. We found out, I'm going to say about 6 weeks ago, we got a final no, which is why the communication has taken as long as it has, because regional staff didn't want to send out communication on something that could have changed. And there were indications there might have been some movement. In the end, there wasn't. It was questioned at the region, and staff, I think, gave a very good explanation. They were doing everything in their power to try and stop this particular part of the change from happening. So I will echo Councillor McPherson's comments. I mean, kudos to our staff who don't really have a hand in this, but were able to work with the region to find a solution for the one designated business area that has enhanced collection in the city.
Thank you. And of course, it's another downloaded cost to us. And ultimately, it's going to be a huge cost when our landfill sites get filled up faster than what they should be getting filled up. And anyway, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Williamson. I will say I have echoed your comments at the region. I flag this on a regular basis. The province of Ontario is very rapidly running out of landfill capacity, and the bordering states where some of our landfill material is currently headed have at various times in the last few years threatened to close the border to Ontario garbage trucks. We are going to be reaching a reckoning in very short order, and landfills are not easy things to site. So I don't know what the solution is, but we are running out of time, and I think the provincial government needs to figure out what the plan is going forward. Councillor Lindell.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I've been looking for the answer for this in all of the submissions and things that I've gotten and haven't found it, so I'm going to cheat. We have a number of businesses on Merritt Street that have accessory dwelling units above their businesses, and they don't pick up their recycling. Is that something that can be changed at any point in time? Because they have to put the recycling in front of their doors, which are almost right next to the business or in front of the business. So it looks like it's business waste.
So I'm hoping that there are regional staff on the line that might be able to provide an explanation, because I don't even think I can look at our senior leadership team on this one. Do I have Mariano Singson on the line?
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you for having us this evening. And first of all, my name is Mariano Singson. I'm the Associate Director for Waste Collection and Diversion Operations in the Ag region here. And thank you, Mayor Cisco, for taking the liberty to explain this whole process. With respect to the mixed-use properties, the producers will continue to collect the residential component of the mixed-use properties. The commercial component are the ones that are going to be displaced. And we have, just like any other municipalities, we've raised this to the producers, Circular Materials Ontario, and our common collection contractors. And it's the same issue that they have indicated, that they will have to come up with a way on how to distinguish the separation between the eligible residential material with the non-eligible ICI recycling material, which, if this proposal goes through, will continue to be serviced by the region under a separate truck.
So just so I'm aware, as of January 1st, they can still put their recycling out front and our separate truck will pick it up on Merritt Street?
Yes, if through you to the mayor, we will continue to service with this proposal in St. Catharines DBA, we will be able to service once per week as an enhanced level of service the businesses that you are identifying, and also part of the.
Mr. Singson, I'm going to jump in. So the councilor's question is actually related to Hartzell, and the concern is. There are mixed-use properties on Hartzell Road
and
with
Merritt
residential and Merritt Street with residential properties above and commercial below. The question is, will the recycling materials in those areas, not in the DBA, but will those areas be able to have their recycling picked up from the residential properties as of January?
From the resident, through you, Mr. To the mayor, yes, from the residential properties, they will be picked up. But the commercial, as we've indicated, will, if it's outside the DBA, it will discontinue.
Okay, so I'm confused, so I'm sure the people who are living above businesses are going to be confused. If they take their waste down to Merritt Street or Hartzell Road, it will still be picked up, the recycling will still be picked up after January 1st? Over the
Through
business,
the mayor,
because they live over a business.
Through the mayor, yes. If they live over the business, they will continue to be picked up. I apologize for the long-winded answer there.
That's okay. We got to where we needed to be, so we're happy. Councillor Mako.
Thank you, Mayor. To staff, there was a point on page 7 that mentioned it's important to note Port Dalhousie does not have an enhanced service collection area and therefore not eligible for any of the continued recycling collection after January 1st. I'm just curious, how were the enhanced service collection areas decided? Just wondering if there was a criteria how we decided, and just why Port Dalhousie was specifically mentioned there as not being included.
Through the mayor. When we first initiated this collection contract, we reached out. The enhanced level of service are services over and above the base level of service that are provided as part of the standard level of waste collection services. Each of the local area municipalities had the option to pay for directly for an enhanced level of service, which is over and above the base level. And in St. Catharines, for example, there will be enhanced level of service for garbage collection as well as recycling collection. However, Port Dalhousie initially was not included in the enhanced level of service that was approved by the city.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Singson. I'm going to look at the CAO or the deputy CAO for perhaps a little bit of background on this, just for a fuller explanation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, so typically what happened with waste collection, the region would go out for, and I'm speaking sort of before all of these changes, when the region was responsible for all of the recycling for both residential and business. They would go out and solicit from the municipalities what levels of enhanced service that municipalities wanted to opt into. And then that would be brought forward to council to make a determination whether or not this council in particular wanted to be a part of all of these different, and there was essentially a menu of different options, whether it be recycling or additional pickup dates. I can't speak specifically to the Port Dalhousie because I just don't recall how it was identified, but it's my understanding that in most cases when we talked about the enhanced services for the downtown, it was because it was a downtown business association, and currently Port Dalhousie is not a formal association, but I don't know if that's specific to it. It was essentially the menu, and then we sort of went through that, and then it went to council to approve, and I believe the last time we had this go forward to council was in 2018, 2019, and then we're now into this new system.
I'm just trying to think ahead. I might get questions, and Councillor Williamson as well, as why weren't we included? And if it's just the fact they didn't have a formal BIA, they used to, and then it dissolved. Like if there was other reasons, that's what I'm trying to make sure I understand so I can respond.
Yeah, sorry, through you, Mr. Mayor. What I'll do is we'll track down the previous reports and provide them to you for context, so then you can have, and please don't quote me on whether or not it was specific to the BIA, but we'll get you the reports so you can have some.
Thank you.
Answers.
And we do have similar, as Councillor Lindell, examples of business main floor, residence upper floor. I don't know if the regional staff could answer. How would you know whose recycling it is when it's the same address? Do you differentiate, or would you just pick it up if you knew there was residential on the upper floor? I'm assuming it's put out in the same spot.
Through the mayor's, that's exactly the same question that we, as well as other municipalities, have identified to the producers. How are you going to distinguish the residential component set out on mixed-use properties? And we have not received a formal answer. We have received insinuations of probably issuing stickers, implementing some sort of a system that they would, but we haven't seen anything yet come from the producers.
Thank you.
All right, seeing no other questions or comments, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor Harris.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Counselor Mako,
Yes.
and Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right, moving on to Planning and Building Services Information Report for 2360 First Street, Louth, Fire Suppression and Water Servicing. This was pulled by Councillor Harris, and he has an alternate motion that will be brought up onto the screen at this time. Do we have a seconder for that, Councillor Harris? Councillor Townsend? Okay. So I'll just wait for the alternate motion to be brought up. And while we're waiting, I'll let Councillor Harris get started.
I'll just wait for the motion. The only thing I really have to say is this has been ongoing for a really long time. I believe the mayor, the CAO, Councillor Kushner, myself, we've met numerous times with New Hope Church, and there's always talk of having a private water line. And it had a lot to do with their addition in their building and about fire suppression. So I guess the one question I might ask through the mayor to the fire chief, is it good to have a hydrant? I guess that's a question, right? Instead of a pond. Like I'm talking about for your equipment and stuff.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. Yes, a hydrant is a good thing to have on the property. I think as a fire chief or any fire chief, if you ask them if they'd prefer to have a hydrant, they would always say yes. That being said, however, we know that the engineers and some of the requirements can be met through alternative solutions to having a hydrant, whether it's a cistern setup or a pond.
Okay, I guess my question would be like, how do ponds affect your equipment when you use a pond to pump the water?
Well, through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, pumping from a pond, we have to set up for drafting, which takes time. Also, the pond, of course, is like the lake. It's got sediment in it and other things. So there sometimes the strainers on the hard suction can pull in, some sediment from the bottom.
Perfect, thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Councillor. And just for clarity, for those who were wondering, this is the alternate motion that Councillor Harris here is directly from the report. So it is referenced in the report as well. All right, seeing no further questions, I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Counselor Harris.
Yes.
Counselor Townsend.
Yes.
Counselor Miller.
Yes.
Counselor Dodge. Sorry. Counselor Lindell.
Yes.
Counselor Mako.
Yes.
Counselor McPherson.
Yes.
Counselor Phillips.
Yes.
Counselor Stevens.
Yes.
Counselor Williamson. And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right, there are no motions this evening, so we'll go to notices of motion. We have two. The first one, I believe, is Councillor Williamson. You have a motion to name the parcel of land adjacent to the northeast corner of the first block of the second Welland Canal as Carlos Garcia Park. So that is a notice of motion for the January meeting. And then Councillor McPherson, you will have a motion to add a commemorative military crosswalk at Lake Street and Welland Avenue, further to a request from the Lincoln and Welland Regiment Association, also for the January meeting. We have a report request this evening, that staff report on the feasibility of a site alteration bylaw, including process, enforcement implications, and resourcing required to implement, from Councillor Stevens. Are there any other report requests? Seeing none, all in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Committee and task force minutes. Minutes to receive and file. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Lindell, Councillor Townsend. All those in favor? Opposed? And that's carried. And then closed session. I will look to the clerk to read the long list of closed session things that we have to do.
We need a motion to go into closed session for economic development and tourism services. Dalhousie Yacht Club lease, request for landlord consents required under the lease for proposed dock replacement and financing security, closed pursuant to Municipal Act Section 239(2)F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And 239(2)I, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organizations. And 239K, a position, plan, procedure, criteria, or instruction to be applied to any negotiation carried on or to be carried on by or on behalf of the municipality. Item 2 is legal and clerk services, Ssonix status update. That is closed pursuant to Municipal Act Section 239(2)E, litigation or potential litigation, including matters before administrative tribunals affecting the municipality. And 239(2)F, advice that is subject to solicitor-client privilege, including communications necessary for that purpose. And the third item is Office of the Mayor Annual CAO Performance Evaluation, and that is closed pursuant to Municipal Act Section 239(2)B, personal matter about an identifiable individual, including municipal employee, and 239(2)D, labor relations or employee negotiations.
Thank you to the clerk. And before we move forward, I just wanted to apologize. I should have also thanked the regional staff. They don't have to show up for our meetings, and they did, and I appreciate it on a question like that because waste management is not our wheelhouse, and they were able to answer some questions. So thank you to them. I should have thanked them a moment ago. Councilor Harris, did you have a question with respect to
I
in-camera?
actually forgot something. New Hope's actually in the midst of building. I forgot to ask what the time frame was to give this approval or move forward with it. So I don't know how we address that. Just came to me.
Okay, so we're going to go in camera, and when we come back
Okay.
out of camera, we can see if we can get an answer.
Perfect,
Okay?
thank you.
Can I get a mover and a seconder for in camera? Stevens, Phillips, all those in favor? Opposed? Away we go. All right, welcome back. We've got a couple motions arising from the closed session. The first is Economic Development and Tourism Services, Realty Services, Dalhousie Yacht Club Lease. Moving this is Councillor Williamson, seconding is Councillor Mako. I will look to the clerk to call the roll.
Councillor Williamson. Yes. Councillor Mako.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Yes. Councillor Lindell.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
All right. Item number 2 on our list is the Ssonix status update, moved by Councillor Dodge, seconded by Councillor Phillips. I'll look to the clerk.
And that's to approve the staff recommendation contained in the report. Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Harris. Yes. Councillor Lindell. Yes. Councillor Mako. Yes. Councillor McPherson.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Williamson. Yes. And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
Item 18.3, the annual CAO performance evaluation. Moving this, I have Councillor Phillips and Councillor Dodge as the seconder. Looking to the clerk.
And that's to approve the recommendation contained within the report. Councillor Phillips.
Yes.
Councillor Dodge.
Yes.
Councillor McPherson.
Hundo P.
Councillor Williamson. Yes. Councillor Townsend.
Yes.
Councillor Stevens.
Yes.
Councillor Miller.
Yes.
Councillor Mako. Yes. Councillor Lindell.
Just plain yes.
Councillor Harris. Oh, yes. And Mayor Cisco.
Yes.
And that's carried.
So we're just going to pause for a moment. Okay, so we have the bylaws, A to L. Bylaw K has been updated to reflect council's decision earlier. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Lindell, Councillor McPherson, and I will look to the clerk. Oh, wait a minute, no. I don't have to. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Additional bylaws. We have additional bylaws A and B to be read a first time, considered and passed. A bylaw to authorize a consent agreement with Dalhousie Yacht Club and the Bank of Montreal, and a bylaw to authorize a construction agreement with Dalhousie Yacht Club. Moving this, I will go back to Councillors Mako and Williamson. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried. Motion to adjourn. Who wants it? Councillor Stevens, Councillor Lindell. All those in favor? Opposed? Good night. Oh, and Merry Christmas, everyone.